One of the things I'm really surprised about is when you're taking these cars apart, with the 918, you said they reuse a lot of the parts.
Yeah.
And even though it seems like, oh, wow, this Porsche 918 part, it's like from a Porsche Boxster.
Yeah.
You could buy them on eBay. What's the cheapest part that you've seen in a car?
So, I mean, a Lamborghini Murcielago has like side marker lights from like a Ford Focus. There's the Lamborghini Diablo has headlights from a 300ZX Nissan. And the way you know is on the Lamborghini, like at the top. I think I mentioned this to you, before, but like there's a little carbon fiber strip that they put there specifically because it covers up the Nissan logo. But stuff like on the 918, you can get the window switch for $20 on eBay, and there's a company in China that just makes these switches. So things like that, you can have like lots of different, switch gear, or like the key fob, or, the rear wheel steering assembly. You can get that for a few $100 on eBay. Lots of stuff that is like available and readily available everywhere. I do love that though.
How is Lamborghini allowed to take a part off of a Nissan and slap it on their car?
So it is the way that they do it, as far as I know, is you just have suppliers. So you have suppliers and contracts. So let's say Lamborghini says to Nissan, "Hey, we'd really like to use your headlights for this." And I assume this is how it worked in the 90s. So Nissan goes, "Okay, well, how many units do you need? And here's." We'll have a contract with you. So if somebody comes into Lamborghini and says, I need a headlight for this car, you guys will supply it, and then we'll have a markup, or, blah, blah, blah. That's the way it is on like McLarens. Like what's funny is McLaren, up until recently, McLaren really didn't make anything, like literally nothing. Everything was a, parts supplier thing. So the hydraulic lines and the coolant lines were made by a company called Bergaflex. The P1 body is made by ProDrive. The transmission is Graziano, and then the engine is Ricardo. Like all these companies, they're just under contract to provide parts for McLaren, and then McLaren just bring in all the parts, put it together, and then they go, haha, it's a McLaren, it's totally bespoke. Like, but other than the fact that it's not, like the body control module is a Pecton control module that you would see in a Tesla. Stuff like that. All the computers are Bosch. So the Bosch computers that you see in Ferraris and Volkswagens and like all that. So they use there's a lot of different suppliers that do have the, hundreds of thousands of iterations of whatever this part is in other cars. So they go, actually, we know how this part's going to perform. What the issue would be, and one reason why there's a difference between something like a McLaren or and Porsche, between that and like a Koenigsegg, is that Koenigsegg, for the vast majority of their parts, they actually make in-house. And the reason why I think Koenigsegg lately has been getting some flack in social media is because they cannot possibly have the man hours to test everything, like especially test everything long term. So what they do is, as far as I've heard and have seen, is when they make a car, they do it to the best of their ability, and they are really pioneering a lot of cool engineering feats. They will sell you a car, and then if the car has problems, they go, okay, well, now we know that this car has a problem. We're going to go make an update to it, or we'll fix it, or whatever. But then that's like a little knowledge hub for them.
Testing dummy.
Yeah. So essentially a customer is a beta tester, which, for better or worse, that's I wouldn't want that, but that's sort of the reality of owning one of these $2 million cars.
Is there any car out there or a situation where the car is just unfixable?
No, depending on how expensive the car is. Now, if a McLaren F1, which is $22 million, if that got in a fire and it was literally just ash, then obviously there's no car left. It's the car has turned into, whatever chemicals that burned off. But if a car like a McLaren F1, or let's say a Ferrari 250 GTO, it's like $50 million. If that car got into a trash compactor and then just turned into a cube, you could still rebuild that, because you would get a new chassis, a new, like it becomes a ship of Theseus at that point. But it's at the value becomes so high that it can't. It's essentially unsalvageable. You cannot damage it enough that it would lose all value. So yeah, other than like the car just not like if it exploded, you know.
What about some randomly outrageously expensive parts? What are some parts that are just randomly extremely expensive?
So I'll give you an example. With the 918 Spider, the engine is a 4.6 liter naturally aspirated. It's derived from one of their race cars called the RS Spider, and it is basically a race engine. It makes 600 horsepower, revs to $9,000. But if you take apart the internals of this, they're all very, very light. And the piston rings, like a set of piston rings for, let's say, an 8-cylinder car, would be a few $100, for any regular car. So the piston rings, basically, they keep the seal on the cylinder when the piston goes up and down. On a 918 Spider, each piston ring, of which there are 2 on each piston, and then there's 8 of them, each one is like $300. So you're looking at several $1,000s, and like the piston itself is like $2,000. Whereas, you can get a good set of pistons that is, custom made for $2,000. So a lot of this stuff is because they're, bespoke to this car. They only made it for this engine. It's a economy of scale thing. And then they're coated with this special coating that they contracted out to this one company in Switzerland, and then that has to get sent over and assembled by one guy in Stuttgart. So there's a lot of that going on.
How important is having good insurance?
Pretty important, depending on what you're talking about. If it's like car insurance or
good car insurance, because you're buying these cars where I expect they're getting these full payouts on them.
Yes. So good insurance. I don't know what the insurance situation is for the people that salvage these cars. I'm sure it's fine. I know the P1 owner got paid out pretty good. I think he got a Chiron later on. So I think he's fine. But for me, I was just talking about this with a friend the other day. Other than somebody hitting me or somebody suing me for something, like if I made a mistake, I wouldn't need insurance. If I crash this thing into a tree, I'm fixing it here. Like I'm never going to take this thing to like, if some guy dings my car in a parking lot, I'm not going through insurance. I'm not like, it's just something I'm going to fix. I'll work out with whoever hit the car. And honestly, it's not something that I think I would ever use, but you need to have it. And I'd rather have, all the limits and all the, all these cars are fully covered, and, like I don't want to be stuck holding the bag when something does happen where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have cheaped out on that.
Now, by the way, quick thanks to our sponsor, CyberGhost VPN, for sponsoring this video.
CyberGhost is one of the most trusted VPNs out there, with over 38 million users worldwide and over 20,000 strong reviews on Trustpilot.
Using a VPN is one of the simplest ways to protect your online privacy. Like, a lot more eyes are watching your online activity than you think.
And of course, even incognito mode does not stop it. Your internet provider, your work or school network, and even your home Wi-Fi router can still track what you're doing.
CyberGhost helps by encrypting your online data and running it through their secure servers. You just pick from over 100 locations before you browse.
It also lets you access geo-restricted games and content from over 40 streaming platforms, including Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney+. And here's a little special sauce I'll sprinkle on top. Changing your location can actually help you find better deals online.
CyberGhost works on all major devices like Mac, Apple, iOS, and Android, and you could protect up to 7 devices at the same time.
And guys, if you're thinking about it, using our link in the description gets you their absolute best deal at $2.03 per month, plus 4 months for free, which is 84% off.
They also offer a 45-day money-back guarantee, so it's risk-free to try it out. We like it enough to recommend it to all of you watching.
Once again, the link is down below in the description. Thank you so much to CyberGhost for sponsoring this episode.